All right, welcome back to the Elias Macko Show. And in transit today, we take a look at Camillien-Houde Way. I saw this headline in the Gazette, opposition fumes. Fumes. That would imply there's steam or smoke, something escaping from the ears of the members of Ensemble Montréal. They're fuming as the Plante administration voted to award a contract for the redesign of Camillien-Houde Way. DeSousa is the mayor of the borough of Saint-Laurent and a member, of course, Ensemble Montréal. Alan, welcome back to the show.
Hi, thanks, Elias. Thanks for having me on.
Are you fuming over how Projet Montréal is moving ahead with this project?
Well, clearly, I'm not happy, but I do think that this will help clear the minds of people who are looking at their choices in the upcoming election, and will be one of the differentiating features between Ensemble Montréal and Projet Montréal. I think Projet Montréal has painted themselves into a corner. I think the mayor has painted her party into the corner where they'll have very little wriggle room. And I think for many Montrealers who view the mountain as a place that brings Montrealers together, where they want accessible, where they want people to get together, for them, this is likely going to be a ballot box issue. And they might well vote for that. There'll be other factors and other issues coming up, but this will be an important one.
Well, I'll tell you from the Projet Montréal perspective, we had Alex Norris on this program last week, and I'll give him this. You know, he makes an impassioned case. He paints a picture of what Projet Montréal's vision is. Have a listen to a bit of Alex Norris from last Thursday on this show.
Well, I enjoy driving over the mountain, too, when I'm behind the wheel of a car. But this is a commuter shortcut that cuts through our most beautiful, iconic park, and it is dangerous for people who are on foot or other vulnerable users of the roadway, people who are in wheelchairs, people who are on bikes. The solution that we have settled upon represents a compromise. You were right that there was a public consultation that was held in 2018. However, there had been a previous consultation also held by the OCPM in 2008 that recommended cutting through traffic through the park. The more recent consultation, there wasn't just one recommendation. There were 16 recommendations, and many of those recommendations were mutually incompatible, given the space available. The OCPM didn't just recommend maintaining vehicular traffic on that road. It also recommended making the road safe for vulnerable users of the roadway, people on foot, on bikes, and in the narrow space between the cliffs at the top or near the top of Camillien-Houde Way, there just isn't enough space.
And Norris went on to say the only way to make that space would be to use dynamite on that side of the mountain. What's your response to that? And what's your vision for Montrealers for the mountain?
Well, I think sometimes Alex actually believes stuff that he's saying, even though he knows full well it's likely not true. At council, he said it'll take people 5 to 10 minutes to go around because the people in his community in Plateau, my land, are going to be disenfranchised, and they will be the ones not having access to the mountain. So for them to think that you take 5-10 minutes to go around by another route, whether it's called St. Catherine, Côte des Neiges, it just doesn't make sense. And I think anyone who's driven that knows that in traffic and time, people with young kids, people with disabilities, people who are elderly people are not going to be spending time to try and get by Remembrance Road. So for them, they will be denied access. And for me, it's not a question of not finding a compromise. I think the question is that there is, and what they have proposed is a reasonable compromise. Yes, make it accessible, but yes, make it also safe for drivers and cyclists. And I think the two are not mutually incompatible, Elias. They're doable, yeah. And I think that if we have an opportunity to come up with a proposal, if elected, we will find that happy compromise that will allow Montrealers to have access to the mountain without depriving or cutting off anyone the way Projet Montréal is trying to do.
So your party's position isn't leave it as is. You also believe that there should be changes made to Camillien-Houde Way and the mountain.
Most definitely. There have been, and it is in some cases quite dangerous. And I think there are places where we do need to make sure that pedestrians and or cyclists who venture up there are safe. But that does not necessarily have to come at the expense of denying people access to the mountain. And so I do think that one is not necessarily doable to the detriment of the other.
Do you think this is a winner for your party at the ballot box come November?
Well, as I said, I think Montrealers, whether they live close or far, whether they live in the north or the south, the east or the west, are bound by one thing. Our city is called Montreal, and the reason it is called Montreal is because of Mount Royal. And the mountain has been and has always been a place that has brought the communities together, whether you're Anglophone or Francophone, whether you're rich or poor, elderly or young. The mountain has been a place for reconciliation and bringing people together. So I can't see how people in Montreal, wherever they live, would go against that feeling. And so I have a intuition. I have a suspect that people care deeply about this. It's not a issue that they're going to forget. It's going to stay in their mind. And I think they will actually make their views known at the ballot box.
One of the knocks against this current plan and the redesign is very plateau-centric. Projet Montréal now has a new leader. It's Luc Rabouin. He's been accused of being too plateau-centric. What do you say to Projet Montréal, and do you feel that that party and their new leader is too plateau-centric?
Well, it's not just plateau-centric, but it's more ideological in so much that I think they're catering to the guys in spandex who will be on their racing bikes doing laps up and down the mountain. Well, the vast majority of us like to bike, and I like to bike, but I don't think my legs could handle it going up Camillien-Houde. So the most of us will find our own ways to get up there. Some of us will be in the car, some of us will walk, some of us will take our bike. But I think the audience, the people who use the mountain are way larger than just the cyclists who are being catered to by Luc Rabouin and the Projet Montréal administration. They're going to have to find a way. They've painted themselves into a box. I think their own communities will likely say, look, this is not smart, this is not right. So I'm hopeful that the plateau in themselves will be affected and will speak with a loud voice. But I think this is going to resonate. It'll have a ripple effect across the city.
Can I ask you, the $12 million in this first contract, $12.8 million planning contract, has that money now, like, let's say you win in November, your party wins in November. Is that $12 million basically done? It's spent no matter what? Or is there a way to roll back at least some of that money spending come a vote in November?
Well, it'll be how far they've moved ahead since the awarding of the contract. This contract, despite all the knocks against it, as you see in the Gazette article today, was not only based and should have been withdrawn based on the fundamentals of it. It was not. There were many steps along the way that are not quite kosher, and it's quite well written by Linda Goulai in the Gazette as to what could and should have been done to make this contract okay. That being said, this contract is being stick-handled by Projet Montréal to the Agglomeration Council tomorrow. And after that, it'll depend how much work gets done between now and November. If there are ways to correct it, believe you me, we will most definitely make sure that those corrections are done to allow for a much broader, generous vision where everyone in Montreal can be part of the mountain.
Alan, got to leave it there. Thanks so much.
Thanks again.
Alan DeSousa is the mayor of the borough of Saint-Laurent and part, of course, of Ensemble Montréal.